Yeah, I mean, I can't turn the ball over. You know, that's one thing that, you know, any coach would tell you. You know, I got to stop turning the ball over, and you know, as far as I know, I'm the starting quarterback. So, you know, I'm gonna continue to, you know, play and continue to, you know, give it my all for this team.
Matt said he had to watch the film to see if you were still the best option going forward. Why are you, or do you think you are still the best option going forward at quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys why I should be the quarterback, but I believe in myself, and you know, that's all that matters.
Oh, Sam Darnold, I'm still the starting quarterback. Not for long. Not for long. Seeing ghosts yesterday against the Patriots, who quietly are becoming a team to be reckoned with in the AFC. The Panthers were a team to be reckoned with for the first 3 weeks of the season. Now, not. Although they're still in the mix for that 7th seed. That 7th seed's wide open and up for grabs in the NFC, and the Panthers could still potentially get it. Superlatives time. Mike Golic, you are up.
Yeah, I'm going to start with honoring the past, and I thought this was a very, very cool moment. Chandler Jones for the Arizona Cardinals broke the franchise sack record. The franchise sack record was 66.5, and he got to 67. And when he broke that record, he pulled up his jersey, and he had a T-shirt of the late, great Freddie Joe Nunn. Freddie Joe Nunn had that record at 66.5. So Chandler Jones obviously knew he was getting there and probably going to get it. And he did get it and pulled up his jersey, and there was Freddie Joe Nunn, you know, obviously the dates of being born and his death. And I just thought it was a very, very cool moment to understand, you know, who came before me and what this franchise was about, whose records you broke, and to honor that person. I thought that was a very, very classy, cool moment by Chandler Jones. Congratulations, you are the franchise sack leader right now, but a real tip of the cap for honoring the late person in Freddie Joe Nunn who held that record.
And they needed help from the defense yesterday because they didn't have Kyler Murray. They didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. Colt McCoy was able to engineer the victory. It helps to have 3 touchdowns from James Conner. But the Cardinals, I think I've picked the Cardinals to lose like 4 straight weeks. I was right once, barely, against the Packers. I thought the 49ers would win yesterday. Who wouldn't have thought the 49ers would win that game? Without Kyler Murray. They did not have one of the great players in the NFL. They had Colt McCoy, a guy who's been on the bench for most of a decade. Of course you think the 49ers are going to rise up and get it done. And as much as we credit the Cardinals for that, Mike, you got to put some blame on the 49ers. My award, the faithful are losing their faith. That's what they call the fan base in San Francisco. They have not lost, or they have not won, key distinction, a home game in 2 years. Well, they've lost 8 in a row. They did win some home games last year without fans there. They haven't won a game with fans present since the NFC Championship in 2019. They're 0-4 at home this year. They have the Rams coming to town Monday night. The Rams, who are going to be salty and pissed after losing in prime time to the Titans, they're going to have their hands full then. Mike, you know, Peter King made the point a couple of weeks ago that the 49ers are like 8 games under 500 overall during the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch regime. 2017, 6-10. 2018, 4-12. 2019, 13-3. 2020, 6-10. So far this year, 3-5. As I saw Mike Sando of The Athletic point out on Twitter, 2019 is the exception. For some reason, it's treated as the rule. The rule is the 49ers are not good. The 49ers have not been good. It all fell together for them one year. They didn't win the Super Bowl. They think they have a Super Bowl team. And, you know, that's what kills you quickly in the NFL. High expectations that aren't fulfilled, that's what gets people fired. And I think the seats are starting to heat up a little bit. I think John Lynch is the first one to go because Kyle Shanahan runs the show and he'll just get another GM and he'll get another chance. He'll get another year or two, maybe. It's not going well for the 49ers. And they just got to win a home game. They got to do something to make the paying customers feel good about why they're showing up. They sat through that rain a couple of weeks ago. They still are behind the team. The team's giving them no reason to continue to stay there.
I agree. It is becoming more the exception than the rule that year, without question. But we all kind of thought, A, this is the best division in all of football, and B, the 49ers, this is why they should start Garoppolo's because they're a team that we think can be in it. But the more and more it goes this way, the more and more you're going to say, okay, it's going to become Trey Lance's team, and they're going to be developing him for the future. So I agree. It is becoming more the rule of bad play than the exception of good play with them. My second superlative is going to be watch out for the under 500 team on your schedule. And I'm going to give the New York Giants some love. They won 2 out of their last 3, and the one they lost was 2017 to the Chiefs. But they're not going to make the playoffs. They probably won't have a winning record, but they're playing hard. Joe Judge has them playing hard, and to see what they're going to – and I don't know what they're going to be in the future. I'm just talking about this year. They're playing games hard right now, and they're in games. And they're going to get blown out in some games, but they're going to play against teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to affect a seed or two with some games the rest of this year with the way they're playing. So beware that this is one of those teams that, you know, from week 13 on, that you better be wary of. Everyone will think, well, they're not going to go to the playoffs. They're going to start packing it in. But they're playing some hard football, and I don't think that's going to stop. And they're going to surprise maybe a team, maybe two, who is going to go to the playoffs and affect their seed. So this is one of those teams that you always have to watch out for all the way to the end of the season because of the way they play. I give them credit for that.
I didn't hear anything about headset issues yesterday. I wonder why. I wonder why there was no complaining about headsets. No complaints about headset issues when you pull off a victory. My next award, very concisely worded. Why in the hell didn't you get rid of Odell Beckham Jr. Earlier award? Look, the Browns have not needed Odell Beckham Jr., and it's not like they were going to cut him in the offseason, but they could have traded him. And I know he was coming off a torn ACL, but they clearly were better without him. And the coaching staff that's there now, for the most part, wasn't there in 2019 when I think there was a lot of tension and we had to get the ball to Odell Beckham Jr., and I think that's where the seeds were planted for dysfunction that really flourished this year. But, you know, we've seen the reports. Odell Beckham Jr. asked for a trade in the offseason. He was asking for a trade throughout the season. He asked to be released last Monday before they finally gave in after he had his dad and LeBron James make a social media assault on the team. They're better without him. And look at what they did yesterday to the Bengals. And you can't tell me that just part of that removal of a toxic dynamic, whoever is to blame, and there's probably plenty of blame to go around, but you remove that dynamic from your team and you see the weight go off the quarterback's shoulders and you beat the hell out of a division rival in a game that the Bengals needed as badly as the Browns. That was a huge outcome yesterday, and I think ridding themselves of OBJ had a lot to do with it. And again, I think a lot of people are to blame for what went wrong, but it's good that the Browns finally figured out they needed to move on and they would be better off without him.
Yeah, this isn't just a one-person thing. I get it. But then all of the things that led to that week, I mean, wow. And there's something to talk about, a distraction in a locker room, and I go back and forth on it sometimes, but is it something that's happening outside the locker room that affects the locker room? How does it affect the locker room? But when it's a person who's physically walking in that locker room, that's the distraction. That can be tough. We've seen in the past, we've seen a Keyshawn Johnson sent home. You know, we'll pay you, go stay at home. We've seen a Terrell Owens, go stay at home. And these are good players that can be productive. And Odell Beckham has been very productive at times. He's failing in the ability part. The most important ability part is availability. You know, when he has been at his best, he's been a heck of a wide receiver, but he's been nicked up. He's certainly dropped some balls, and yes, he hasn't been thrown to at times when he's open. Not the first receiver or last that's going to happen to. So it was a ridiculous scenario that they had to rid themselves of it. And they did, and of the person, and we'll see what happens with OBJ's future if he can get healthy and be on the field, and can he be productive. My last superlative is going to be, wow, what a game for Josh Allen. No, not that Josh Allen. And I know we talked about it earlier, but let's actually put a couple of stats to it. The Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the defensive player, against Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, just did what one Josh Allen do to the other Josh Allen. How about Josh Allen sacked Josh Allen? Josh Allen intercepted Josh Allen, and Josh Allen recovered a Josh Allen fumble. I'm saying Josh Allen too much, so I can't even speak. But unbelievable what went on, the namesake of Josh Allen. These guys, they have to trade jerseys without question, and I hope they did. But just the game that this guy had, and Jacksonville overall. Now, it came in a win. It would be a lot less. We'd be mentioning it, but to say it, and it also goes along with a win against one of the best teams in the AFC, is a pretty cool thing. But, yeah, the first player in NFL history to intercept a quarterback with the same name. But, like I said, recovered a fumble and sacked him as well. So what a day for not only Jacksonville, but for Jacksonville's Josh Allen.
And I can tell that Josh Allen, spoke to him after the game. He didn't come out and say it, but he was sick of hearing about Josh Allen versus Josh Allen. He was sick about hearing about the other Josh Allen, and this was finally his chance. Finally his chance. He found his motivation, and now the question is, can the Jaguars continue to play at that level as we discussed earlier? Let's take a break.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.